I grew up in a house that felt too big for just my mother and me. The walls held old echoes, and I often felt like I was walking through someone else's memories instead of my own. My mother worked nights, so I spent most evenings alone, curled up on the couch with a blanket pulled to my chin, pretending the silence didn't bother me. But it always did. Silence made me feel small, like the world forgot I existed. When I was 10, she started sending me on weekend trips to my uncle's cabin near the forest. She said it would be good for me, that I needed air, sunlight, a break from screens. She didn't understand that outside terrified me more than being alone. Still, I went, because disappointing her hurt worse than anything the dark could do to me. The cabin always smelled like wet leaves and burnt wood, and my uncle barely spoke. He'd give me a nod, hand me a lantern, and disappear into his room. I spent most of my time sitting on the porch steps, staring at the endless line of trees. They never felt peaceful to me. They felt watchful. Sometimes, when the sun dipped behind the treetops, I swore I heard whispering between the branches. Not words, just a low murmur, like breath sliding through teeth. I told myself it was wind, but even at 10, I knew the difference. I tried writing in a little journal to distract myself, sketching trees, clouds, anything to fill the emptiness. But every time I looked back at my drawings, the trees seemed closer. I'd erase them and walk inside, pretending everything was normal, even though nothing ever felt normal there. The first disturbing thing happened on a Saturday evening. I was sitting on the porch, fiddling with my journal, when I heard footsteps near the tree line. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I froze. My uncle didn't walk like that, and there were no neighbors for miles. I called out, "Hello?" Silence. Then a shape moved between the trees, a tall, narrow silhouette, too thin to be human. I blinked, and it was gone. I ran inside, slamming the door, my heart slamming harder. I told my uncle, but he just looked at me with tired eyes. Forest Place tricks, don't pay attention. But that night, something tapped on my window. 3 slow taps, like knuckles dragging across glass. I hid under the blanket, gripping the edges until my fingers went numb, praying the forest would forget about me. But it didn't. It never does. The next morning, I found footprints in the dirt outside my window. Long, narrow prints that sank deep, as though whatever made them weighed far more than its body should allow. My uncle stared at them too long before kicking leaves over them. "We don't talk about things we don't understand," he whispered. His voice shook. That scared me more than the footprints. He sent me back outside, saying he needed to prepare something. I didn't know what that meant. I wandered near the forest line, trying not to look into the trees, but failing every time. That's when I saw it again. A face, pale, stretched, eyes too dark to reflect light, peering from behind a trunk, watching me. My breath caught. I blinked, and the face slipped away, melting into shadow. The forest wasn't playing tricks, it was studying me. That night, the knocking returned, but this time it came with a voice, my mother's voice. "Sweetheart, let me in." My stomach twisted. My mother was hours away at work. I stood frozen at the window, staring out into the darkness where her voice trembled again, softer, sweeter. "Open the door, baby, I'm cold." Her tone was perfect. Every inflection, every softness she used when comforting me as a child. But something was wrong. The voice had a hollow echo to it, stretched thin like someone pulling skin too tight. Then, just for a second, I saw her face between the trees, smiling. But her mouth was wrong, too wide, too still. I backed away, whispering her name. The face leaned forward, twisted by that impossible smile. "Let me in," it repeated, in a voice that wasn't hers anymore. I stumbled backward and ran to my uncle's room, pounding on his door. No answer. I pushed it open. The room was empty. Bed stripped, window open, cold air spilling inside. He was gone. Outside, the voice kept calling to me, changing pitch, mimicking every tone I'd ever heard from her. My legs trembled so hard I could barely stand. Then the knocking moved to the back door, harder, faster, as if the creature realized I wasn't going to obey. "Sweetheart." The voice cracked, like something tearing. I said, "Let me in." I screamed. Glass shattered in the living room. I saw long fingers, too long, curling over the windowsill. Skin pale and stretched like wax. I ran for the lantern, hands shaking, heart pounding so loud it drowned my thoughts. The forest thing was inside. I hid behind the couch, clutching the lantern so tight my knuckles ached. The creature's footsteps were slow, dragging, like it wasn't used to walking on floors. Then I heard it sniffing. Wet, heavy inhales, like it was tasting the air for me. It mimicked my mother again, but the voice cracked every few words, glitching like a broken tape. "Where are you, sweetheart?" The lantern flickered. Its light seemed to irritate the creature because it hissed, a deep animal sound that did not belong in anything shaped like a human. Its hand slid across the wall, scraping long grooves into the wood. Closer, closer. I tried to hold my breath, but a whimper escaped me. The footsteps stopped. Then, slowly, the creature leaned over the couch, its stretched face inches from mine, smiling that impossible skin-pulling smile. Before I could scream, the creature whispered, "You look just like him." I didn't understand. It tilted its head, eyes bulging with a strange hunger. "Your uncle, he brought me here, fed me pieces of himself, hid me when I changed." My throat tightened. The creature's smile widened, but he stopped coming. He grew afraid. He ran. I thought of his empty room, the open window, the fear in his eyes that morning. "He promised me a child," it whispered, "promised me someone new to follow." It leaned closer, nose brushing my cheek. "And now you're here." A memory flashed, my mother arguing on the phone years ago. "He can't keep using the boy. He's just a child." I hadn't understood then, but now I knew. I wasn't at the cabin for fresh air. I was the offering. I bolted from behind the couch, running toward the open front door, but the creature was faster. Its arms stretched, literally stretched, like melted rubber, grabbing my ankle and pulling me across the floor. I clawed at the doorway, screaming until my throat burned. The creature's breath slid across my neck, cold, damp, reeking of soil and rot. "You belong to me now," it whispered. I kicked, twisted, and slammed the lantern against its face. The flame burst, lighting part of its skin. It shrieked, a sound so shrill I thought my eardrums would tear. Its grip loosened, and I scrambled outside, sprinting toward the trees. But the forest wasn't a refuge. Every trunk looked like a doorway. Every shadow moved. Behind me, the creature crawled out of the cabin, skin melting, limbs twitching. And it followed. I ran until my lungs burned, until the world blurred into streaks of black and silver. But the forest doesn't let you escape, not when it wants you. The trees shifted, closing around me. Branches tangled in my hair, tugging me backward. Roots rose like hands, tripping me. I fell hard, the earth swallowing my scream. The creature crawled toward me on all fours now, bones cracking, jaw hanging loose. "You're mine," it croaked. "You were always mine." I tried to crawl away, but something cold wrapped around my wrist. Another hand from the soil. Then another and another. The forest itself held me down. The creature lowered its face to mine, smiling that awful stretched smile. It whispered one final truth. "You'll never leave these woods. You'll feed them, just like he did." And then everything went dark.